Shabbat Shalom. We're going to start on page 24. Page 24.
Let's summon the angels, the ministering angels. Shalom Aleichem, page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zeidchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
So these words, Shalom Aleichem, are often sung around your Shabbat table, often before you go off to shul for the night, before you come to synagogue, that these angels of peace might accompany you on your way to synagogue and on your way home, that they're with you very traditionally on your walk to shul and your walk back. But it's also such a beautiful way of stepping into Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet. Peace be to you, O ministering angels. And each line begins as a prayer for peace. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom. Enter in peace, O messengers of peace. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom. Bless me with peace, O messengers of peace. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom. Depart in peace, O messengers of peace. Certainly tonight, as we come into this space and as we sit together and make space, and as we leave here tonight, we certainly have prayers for peace in our hearts and on our minds, knowing so many of our friends and relatives just a few hours to the south of us are so desperately yearning for peace as fires spread through. I read in the news this afternoon something like 36,000 acres burned already, 100,000 people, over 100,000 people evacuated. We know thousands of homes and businesses and lives have been destroyed, at least 11 lives lost so far. It's a scary time. And what's become apparent in this congregation in this week is just how connected all of us up here are to all of them down there. That we have friends, we have family, we have business acquaintances, we have all sorts of interconnectedness. As much as we fight each other and say, you know, Dodgers versus Giants, there are a lot of deep connections between Northern and Southern California. And certainly they're in our hearts and on our minds this evening. And I think hopefully part of our task this evening is to find a little bit of a sense of comfort, to think about how we can be these messengers of peace that accompany us and accompany our friends and family as they go through whatever they're dealing with. in these moments and in these days. I know that many of you know that I'm an Angelino as well, and so it's certainly front of mind this week. We'll also recognize that some of us have come this evening from a house of mourning, and we'll offer to you the traditional words of our people. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'toch sha'ar avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. We'll continue our service by bringing a little bit of extra light. I want to invite up Daryl Messinger and Jim Heeger to light candles and lead us in Kiddush. We're on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Is on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim ki banu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
It's something. I invite you now to take a moment to turn to Shabbat, to this day, to this moment, to being here, to being present. Shabbat invites us to let go of what happens in a week, which is very hard for us right now. It also invites us to pause on thinking about the future, to just be in a moment to sing with joy and to dwell in gratitude. We are going to do that and to invite Shabbat in as we think of Shabbat, of blessing as a bride that brings in peace and joy and happiness and love. And so we turn to page 20 for Lecha Dodi. We'll sing the words of Lecha Dodi verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on verse 9, we'll rise up together as you're able and face the door as we symbolically and physically invite in the day of Shabbat in our midst. Page 20.
Lecha Dodi, v'kerat kala, penei Shabbat. עכשיו התחילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת התעוררי, 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 כי באורך ומאורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship and our call to service.
Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, lai, ya, lai, la, lai, yai, lai, ya, lai, 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 yai, la, lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, lai, ya, lai, la, lai, yai, lai, ya, lai, 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 yai, lai, yai, lai, lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
turn to page 32 and sing Achavat Olam, which is an enduring and everlasting love that God gives us, people Israel. And I believe that our biggest task as human beings is to transform that love, to transfer that love, and bring it to others amidst us. So we sing together Achavat Olam on page 32.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, otanu limadeta. V'alekein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochreinu, uv'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu. Ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla. Ve'avatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shortly, we will turn to the Shema, our prayer of oneness. And before we do that, I would like to invite up Ashley Murphy Kutorian, who is becoming Bat Mitzvah next week, to lead us in the second part of the Shema, the Ve'achavta. We turn to page 34 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם ושבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Turn now to our prayer of freedom, Mika Mocha, on page 40.
Patrick, will you turn up the piano in my monitor? Thank you. Those holy words of instruction. All right, here you go. אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Wonderful. So, as we already talked about, this week has been so troubling. We've been following the news of our people in LA. And then I got a text from my friend Jacob Richter over here. He's like, look, I have this couple new pieces I just wrote, and one of them is a Hashkivenu. I thought, Hashkivenu, that's like my favorite prayer for comfort and shelter. And so I thought, well, if it's good, maybe we'll do it this Friday night. Guess what? It's pretty good. So I'd like to invite you to turn in your prayer books to page 42 for this, I guess, this debut of this beautiful Hashkivenu, asking God to shelter us and to protect us through the night and bring us to oneness and to complete wholeness. So here it is. Hashkivenu Adonai
Ha'amidenu shomreinu lechaim, lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shilomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim, lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim,
That was beautiful. A prayer for victims of the Los Angeles fires by Rabbi Naomi Levy. God, our rock and our comfort, hear our prayer. Our hearts break for all those who have lost their homes in this deadly blaze. The victims are in shock. Life as they knew it, all their treasured possessions, beloved heirlooms, touchstones for so many cherished memories, were swept away in an instant. Their sense of place and home, their safety and stability have been shaken. Help us, God, to anchor them, to shelter, support, and steady them with love as the numbness wears off, the enormity of the loss sets in, and the work begins for them. Be with them, God. Be their strength and their comfort. Shield them from despair. Let them know you are near. Fill them with the courage they will need to begin again. Bless the firefighters and first responders, God, and watch over them as they put their own lives at risk to protect their beloved city. Work through us, God. Transform our helplessness into action. Inspire us with the determination and the perseverance we will need to bring devastated neighborhoods back to life. Fill us all with the vision of the new days that lie ahead, a dream of our city restored. Let Jeremiah's prophecy of hope enter every heart and soul. The city shall be rebuilt upon its ruins, and so may it be. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. We turn to page 44 and continue singing Veshameru, which is our prayer that affirms and commits when we commit ourselves to sanctifying the day of Shabbat. Sometimes when so many things are not temporary, they are not permanent around us. Sometimes Shabbat forces us together to, comfort each other. And also time also carries with it memories. Shabbat is a time when we remember and we have those memories and we gather together to support each other. And we usually have different practices of sanctifying Shabbat. Some are individual and some are communal, whether it's a walk on Shabbat or coming here to gather together to a study or being with family and friends, calling family and friends or whatever you do. I hope that you can reflect and think of something that you can do this Shabbat that will bring you some solace or some comfort. together. We sing Veshamru on page 44.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam, berit olam, beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat Shabbat vayinafash.
Please rise in body and in spirit and turn to page 46 for the Amidah, our standing prayer.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la la la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol atah Rav Lehoshia. Mashiv haruach morid hagashem, mechalkel chayim bechesed, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, או מדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You are holy,
Your name is
holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Page 339, second song down. The entire world is but a narrow bridge, but the most important thing is not to be afraid. There are times that are really scary, and we just have to keep going across that bridge, even when it's shaking beneath us. And so, Gesher Tzar Me'od. I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not be afraid, knowing you are with me. As I walk along this very narrow bridge, I will not be afraid, knowing you are near. Ve'haikar, ve'haikar, lalifakein klal, lalifakein. Ve'haikar, ve'haikar, lalifakein klal, lalifakein. Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tsar meod. Kol ha'olam hu gesher tsar meod.
Our speaker tonight largely needs no introduction, but Daryl Messinger, I would say if only you were a successful businesswoman with a penchant for giving back to the Jewish community, Dayenu, it would have been enough. If you hadn't, I just learned this tonight, if you hadn't served on the search committee that brought Rabbi Rick Block to Beth Am, Dayenu, it would have been enough. If you hadn't served as the president of Congregation Beth Am in the mid-90s, Dayenu, it would have been enough. But no, you went on to become the first woman to chair the Union for Reform Judaism. Dayenu could have been enough, but you didn't stop there. You are now serving in your both retirement and lay retirement as the chair of ARZA, the Association of Reform Zionists of America. And it is such a delight to have you here in town and on our bima speaking about Israel, Reform Judaism, and you and us. So welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Patrick, we're okay when I say to do it? Don't do it yet. But we're good, right? I know, but I don't trust clickers. I don't know about you all, but I tend to go backwards when you're supposed to be going forwards with clickers. Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to be here. I want to say hello as well to all of various family and friends and others. I noticed in Rabbi Josh Weinberg's weekly newsletter, he evidently put a link to our live stream tonight. So thank you all for zooming in as well. I got a text from Rabbi Rick Jacobs. Good luck, I'm watching. Doesn't make me less nervous. I would have appreciated it after. In June, I had the privilege to travel to Israel with a group of women leaders and philanthropists. It was a trip to bear witness to the incredible impact that Israeli women are having during this terrible war. On our very first evening at a dinner hosted at and by the new Anu Museum of Jewish People in Tel Aviv, we were invited to view the Sassoon Codex, believed to be the oldest and now the most expensive complete Hebrew Bible, more than 1,100 years old. A generous donor acquired the Codex in early 2023 for $38 million and donated it to the museum so that it could be viewed by everyone and not held in a private collection away from the public. Unfortunately, The war has forced the museum to put all its precious artifacts below ground, safe from missile attacks. So Patrick, this is the cue. This is the first slide. So we descended to the basement of the museum and entered a room that was a storage space with metal racks. There was the Codex on a folding table. It was opened to the Shema and the Vahavta. Patrick, the next slide. We asked our spiritual leader for this mission, Rabbi Angela Buchdahl, senior rabbi of Central Synagogue in New York City, if she would be willing to read from the sacred text. She chanted the Shema. She then asked my fellow 20 women travelers to join her in the chanting of the Vahavta. Tears streamed down our faces as we did so, and then we all sang the Shehekianu because we all understood the significance. This was a first, a Shehekianu moment of great significance. A first generation Korean, Jewish, American, rabbi, cantor, woman who leads one of the largest congregations in the world, if not the largest Reform congregation, had just led a group of women leaders to recite the watchword of our faith. It was not just historical, but also defined what is in all of our power to achieve. We know that there are forces that would like to silence, cancel our liberal democratic voices in Israel and here. People who would prefer we stayed in our homes, who don't believe or disregard our Jewish communities, our beliefs and practices. Those who would not consider Rabbi Buchdahl Jewish, or for that matter, most of us. Tonight, I want to empower each of you to have a voice in shaping Israel for generations to come, to demonstrate that our voices matter and need to be counted. I know that for some in this sanctuary or on Zoom, the idea that we here in Los Altos Hills should have any role in creating Israel may be too abstract or too difficult, or perhaps just contrary to other values, ideas, or beliefs. You may feel that, especially in the middle of a war, that it is inappropriate to criticize Israel, and certainly not to do so publicly. Or it may be that the polarized discourse around Israel has just become too toxic and overwhelming. You know, who needs it? I stand here today as the chair of the Association of Reform Zionists of America, ARZA, begging you to reconsider. I represent the largest, most diverse movement of Jews in North America. And yes, we are Zionists. Let me be very clear. The Reform movement loves Israel. We believe the Jewish people have the right to self-determination. We stand in solidarity with our Israeli brothers, sisters, friends, and family as they fight terrible, evil forces. And yet, we do not love everything about Israel, about its current government, about the renewed efforts to change Israel's democracy, particularly its judicial system, especially with hostages still in Gaza and a continuing multi-front war in Israel. We are deeply distressed by the terrible, terrible suffering and death in Gaza. We call for a return of the hostages, and we agonize about all of Israel's inhabitants, particularly those still evacuated and homeless in the north and south. and we pray for peace and worry that simplistic slogans and maximalist visions could doom Israelis and Palestinians to never-ending conflict. As Reformed Jews, we want an Israel that is Jewish, democratic, pluralistic, secure for all Jews and all of Israel's inhabitants, Jewish, Palestinian, and many others. I believe that we must explore ways to improve the current reality and set a course for a better future. That requires all of us to see Israel's future as our own, as our responsibility. Another memory from my June trip. We visited kibbutz Kfar ARZA, which was devastated by the Hamas attack on October 7th. Our tour guide was Vered Lipstein, a kibbutz resident. Patrick, next slide. Vered's husband, Ophir, who was the head of the Shahar HaNegev Regional Council, was killed in the first hours of the October 7th attack. Vered also lost her son, her mother, and her nephew that day. Ophir and Vered were longtime supporters and friends of the Reform community throughout the world, but particularly in this region. They were also deeply committed to providing economic opportunities to the Gazans living just a kilometer from their home. Ophir had led an effort to create an industrial work zone that was due to open in November 2023, initially for 200 Gazans to be working alongside Israelis, but with a longer-term objective of employing 10,000 in high-paying tech jobs and services. I asked Vered, what did she hope for after the war concluded? Her answers were clear. First, return of the hostages. Second, live again at Kfar ARZA without fear. Third, re-establish Ophir's life work of an industrial zone for Palestinians and Israelis. As Vered stated, quote, there are 2 million Gazans living less than a kilometer from here. There are 1.5 million Israelis living in the Negev, the south. They aren't going anywhere, and we aren't either. We better learn to live together. That is my hope. That was Ophir's dream, unquote. As Reformed Jews living outside of Israel, we have an opportunity. I believe, actually, it's our civic obligation to raise our voices and to say that we are deeply and forever connected to Israel. We have an opportunity to say we will not be silent in our love and our advocacy, and we will not give up on Israel. We will ensure that there are many more Rabbi Buchdahl's and Vered Lipsteins helping to make a better future for all of us, not just in Israel, but around the world. From March 10th to May 4th this year, our reform movement will look to expand our power and influence, advocate for our values, and increase our support for the reform movement in Israel and throughout the world through the elections of the World Zionist Congress. The Congress was conceived by early Zionists as a means to make sure that Jews everywhere had a stake in building and governing the Jewish state. It is a democratically elected international body that convenes every 5 years, and it is the way for diaspora Jews like you and me to have a voice in Israel and stand up for religious pluralism, democracy, and a path to peace. This is critically important because the outcomes of these elections have far-reaching implications, not just for Israel, but for all of us. The outcome impacts political appointments, governs the allocation of over $1 billion annually, and determines policies regarding many aspects of civil society and community development, such as aliyah, conversion, placement of bomb shelters, or settlement expansion. Our opponents in the Congress campaign are highly motivated religious fundamentalists whose vision for the future of Israel is dramatically and diametrically different than ours. Their vision writes Reformed Jews out of the next chapter of Jewish history. They are organizing to abolish what we value, including chipping away at Israel's democracy, stripping our Israeli Reform clergy, especially our women rabbis, and our Reform communities of their rights, funding, and infrastructure. They are organizing to make sure that our converts and children are not welcome in the Jewish state. They're rolling back gains for gender equity, LGBTQ plus rights, and religious freedom. They're blocking any hope of Palestinian self-determination and safety. Our success in this campaign depends on you, each and every one of you. We are building a team here at Beth Am to spread the word and make sure that we all vote. We need your help. Rabbi Wademaker, Ina Bauman, Barbara Wyndham are our Beth Am captains. Thank you. Charlie Rothschild is helping to organize Jews throughout the peninsula and the Bay Area. You too can join our team. You should have received a postcard, or Matt Eisenberg was passing them out as well when you came in this evening. On one side, it includes a QR code about the election, and I've put it up here on the screen. Next slide, Patrick, thank you. And on the other side is an immediate action you can take when you get home to let the mayor of Holon know that there is more than one way to be Jewish in the Jewish state. Maybe the next slide, Patrick. In the coming weeks, you will be hearing more about how to vote and how to ask your friends and family to vote. With this week's Torah portion, or Parsha, we reach the end of the book of Genesis. The book ends with Joseph reuniting with his father Jacob and asking Jacob to bless his sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. It is a touching scene that has since become the way we bless our children on Shabbat. We ask God's help so that our children will be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Who are these two grandsons? And why do we aspire for our descendants to be like them? Why not like the patriarchs and the matriarchs? Or like Moses, Aaron, and Miriam? What hopes do we ascribe to them? I believe that like Jacob and Joseph, we are placing our values, hopes, and dreams in a new generation. And as Jacob and Joseph sought out blessing for their children and grandchildren, you too can do this by voting in this election and investing in our children and their children so that they will have an Israel to call home. And so I ask you to be like Ephraim and Manasseh, like Rabbi Buchdahl and Vered Lipstein, and help to create the Israel we can all be proud of and call light unto the nations. And as we say at the end of each book of the Torah, Chazak, Chazak, v'nichazek, may we be strong and draw strength from our Torah and from one another. Shabbat Shalom.
Ashikoach, thank you, Daryl. Continue our service on page 253 with our prayer for healing. It's not just wishful thinking, but also a call to action as well, that we can be the hands that bring healing into our world. We can be the voices that offer words of comfort and support to our friends and our family who are in need of healing. This week, we're sending prayers for healing to Susan Aaron, Ginny Anderson, Marion Bleckman, David Ben Devora, Diane Denenberg, Mark Cohn, Ron Cote, Abigail Covert, Toby Ellman, Sipora Fagel Batsara, Marty Gelman, Moritz Huppert, Norman V. Martello, Harvey Rabin, and Bobby Rosenkrantz. If there's someone that you're thinking of this evening in need of healing, I invite you to share those names with our community. Middle of page 253. On page 259, we offer the traditional prayer for the state of Israel.
Let's join together. We'll sing the first 4 lines together, and then we'll read it in English. Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael Gohalo, Barichet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu, Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael Gohalo, Barichet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu.
Read together. O
O
Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel,
bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
Amen.
Amen.
A word about our tzedakah box. As we mentioned in yesterday's emails, we are shifting the recipient of our tzedakah box for the remainder of January to the Los Angeles Wildfire Crisis Relief Fund that's been established by the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles. This fund is going to go to help all sorts of different organizations, from first responders and firefighters to those who have lost their homes throughout Los Angeles. The Jewish Federation really is kind of the clearinghouse and central address for then distributing those funds to where it's needed most. So encourage you, if you're able, to give and give generously, and I'm sure as the days and weeks go on, there'll be more opportunities to give back and support the communities of Los Angeles, the Jewish communities of Los Angeles. We know already that the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center was destroyed in the fire. We know that the Reconstructionist Synagogue in the Palisades, Kehillat Israel, was spared, but all of the clergy lost their homes. So there's certainly a need both in the Jewish community and throughout Los Angeles. So I encourage you to give generously if you're able. Turn now to our prayer of memory on page 294, Mourner's Kaddish. But before we do that, we're going to get to Aleinu. If you're able, please rise. Page 282,
Why don't we use the top paragraph tonight?
top of the page.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gdula liotzer breshit, shehu noteh shamayim yosei haaretz, moshav yikaro b'shamayim mima'al, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei miromim, hu Eloheinu ein od. V'anachnu koreim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu.
Page 287.
One day, one day, one day.
Seated. On page 290, it is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. As we turn to our prayer of memory now on page 294, and as I read the name of your loved one or friend, I invite you to rise and remain standing in their honor. We're in the period of Shiva, the first week of mourning for our member, Stuart Bessler, husband of Helen, father of Joni, Susan, and Paul Bessler, and for our member, Adele Karasina, mother of Faina and Boris Karasina, grandmother of Evgeny Dukhovny and Olga Karasina, We're in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for David Levy, Sabina Mintz, Betty Hoppy, Dennis Horn, and Sarah and Madeline Lurie. We also add to these names the names that we don't yet know of the 11 victims and that we know of, and perhaps more as the list grows of the victims of the fires in Los Angeles. And we remember the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death of Murray Alowitz, Annette Bernhardt, Gerald Besson, Daniel Blattman, Robert Block, Yetta Blum, Sylvan Blumenson, Eugene Bulgar, Pearl Bragan, Eleanor Kaplan, Eleanor Jacobs Kaufman, Jerry Consul, Vera Nell Davis, Theodore Diller, Laura Dinitz, Charlotte Eisenberg, Ida Engel, Blanche Feiner, Esther Fernbach, Irving Finkler, Sylvia Fisher, Edward Fleischman, Robert L. Fox, Miriam Frankel, Victor Garfinkel, David Garofsky, Pesha Ginsberg, Marcus Goldberg, Jill Goldberg, Irene Goldfein, Edward Gordon, Sam Gutman, Jerome Hyman, Sylvia Hurst, Mervyn Hirsch, Ken Hirsch, Robert Holtzman, Jason Howe, Genevieve Yanicelli, Paul Ilowski, Claire Isaacs Werhoftig, Dorothy Jacobson, Saul Jacobson, Jean Jones, Joan Katz, Arnold Kaufman, Susan Cleric, David Klein, Riva Korsunskaya, Joseph Kraskoff, Frederick Langer, Milt Lasky, Leon Lazarus, Rose Leibowitz, Bert Levitt, Catherine Levy, Jerome Lips, Loretta Livingston, Don Miller, William Ortung, Ann Ozer, Celia Panzer, Harry Polish, Valerie Politzer, Sylvia Rosenberg, Sherwin Rosenfeld, Elmira Roscoff, Steve Rubin, Belle Samueli, David Sachs, David Seaman, Irving Scher, Victor Schulman, Mary Schultz, Eva Shustak, Milton Siegel, Ann Silver, June Simon, Carlisle Sobel, Sylvia Starr, Carolyn Stark, Ida Stein, John Stevens, Cheryl Terabello Schiff, Sid Tuckman, Harry Weisblatt, Norman Ware, and Abraham Weiner. If there is someone that you are in the first year of mourning for, I invite you to rise and share those names. And if there's someone else whose name I mispronounced or who you're remembering this evening, I invite you to rise and share those names. And we rise together as able, as a community of strength and solidarity, as we read the words of Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevarach le'olam u'olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace and comfort to all who mourn. And we say together, amen. We'll close with a prayer
It's on the sheet.
for loving kindness and compassion. It is number 5 on side A.
Olam chesed yivaneh.
Olam chesed yibaneh. Yadadai, dai, yadadai, dai. Olam chesed Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Wait, a special thanks. Can we give it up? Now's the time to clap for our fabulous accompanist,
Richter.
Jacob Richter, and that gorgeous Hashki Venu, which brought so much comfort. Thank you so much, Jacob. You are awesome. Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. That was beautiful.